Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. And tonight we're going to be discussing commitment issues. Why do people find it so hard to commit to things, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, a career, or even where they live? So I'll be giving you the top signs of someone that is afraid of committing and what can be done about it. And also my guests tonight include Love Talk host James and Helena Marques and self-development coach Chris Browne, who'll be joining us very shortly. But first of all, actually, let me introduce the first guest, should I? Should I? I should.
You should.
Okay, we have James and Helena, our love experts, our resident love experts that come here quite often, don't you now? It's what, fourth time you've been on now?
Part of the family now.
Yeah, you're part of the family, so you've been through a lot yourselves in your love life. And actually, Helena, you're going to be sharing with us a bit later on. You made a promise one day to yourself that you would never, ever get married. You swore, marriage is not for me. But now you're married, so something happened.
Something changed.
Something changed, but you're going to be telling us about why you actually felt that way.
Okay.
And James, you've been through a few things yourself, but things also turned around for you in your love life.
That's right,
But we'll be talking about that shortly. And you'll be giving our viewers some advice too. Okay, but let's take a look at these street interviews. You asked the people why they thought people find it hard to commit sometimes, and here's what they said.
Today we're living in a fast-paced modern society where we have lots of opportunities and lots of options. Now, is this the reason why we seem to have an issue with commitment today? Let's find out.
I think men probably find it harder because of the whole attachment and being attached to that one person forever. I don't think it's that case for women because women like that emotional attachment. So I think just for men, because they're greedy, they want all the women in the world.
So do you think it is harder for men then? And
yeah, definitely.
And as a whole, why do you think people find it hard to commit?
There's so many sexy people in the world. That's probably why. And there's temptation everywhere. I think that's why, temptation.
Marriage is a commitment, for instance, but like life is a commitment that you live based upon your level of priorities, and basically I think people find it difficult to commit to something good, i.e. exercise or a hobby, because they think of what's most immediate, i.e. they're hungry, or all these physical things which get in the way. So people need to basically prioritise what's most important and then give it more time every day. But
yeah, and go for it rather than giving up at the first hurdle all the time.
But yeah, exactly.
On a personal level, yes. I mean, I think, I don't know about women, but men do have, for me anyway, that have commitment issues. That I don't know. The word commitment is quite a scary word because I think as men, we are biologically kind of programmed to, spread our seeds as much as possible in a way. So, kind of genetically or biologically speaking, it's very hard for us to commit.
I don't know, temptation to do whatever it is you don't want to commit to. I don't know, that's my only answer really.
Now, I'm sensing a bit of a problem with the males on that have been interviewed.
The males?
Yeah, because especially that last gentleman. I mean, who says men are programmed to spread their seeds everywhere? That's the first I've heard of that.
That's one of the guys there, but I hadn't heard that one before. That's a new one.
Well, where did that come from?
That's just I think that's an excuse for men to say this is how we are, so it's normal, and it's not normal. It's not okay for. Actually, when you talk about commitment, I think there's one of the two main things why people don't want to commit, and one is either because they've been through a bad experience and they're afraid that will repeat itself, or the person just simply does not want to commit because they want the best of both worlds. They want the security of a relationship, but they also want to do whatever they want outside, spread the seed.
And that young lady, when she was speaking at the beginning, she seemed to have quite a bad, maybe she's been through a few bad experiences with men, but she kind of stereotyped basically all men and said they just want to, I can't use the words that she said, but they just want to go out with everyone. There's too many sexy people around, so that's why people don't commit.
It's so hard. There's too many sexy people around. What are we going to do now? Come on, this is the worst excuse. I don't even know the word in English that I've ever heard.
Just say it in Portuguese if you want to get translated.
So it's like a cycle if you think about it. Men are the way they are nowadays. Some men, okay, please. But
present company accepted.
Like, for example, the ones we just heard, giving excuses to have many women. And then women react in a different way, and then men, because of the women, they react a certain way. So it
goes round.
It goes around like this. That's why.
Although many women are also afraid of commitment because
nowadays, I think,
because of the way men behave.
Because of one of these two things, either because they've been hurt before, or because they also want to be free to do what they want.
I mean, my husband, boyfriend then, was very, very scared of committing, even though we were going out for a while. I think we were going out for about 4 years before we actually got engaged. But we were even living together, and he still was really scared of the M word, really, really frightened of it. But the reason was because he saw his parents, the way his parents' marriage was. They were always fighting, knives out, all sorts of things. So he basically thought, oh, if this is going to be like this for me as well. So even though he committed as far as, okay, me moving in, allow me to move in and stay with the family and everything, but that extra sort of push that I always wanted. I never wanted to just live with him. I always wanted to get married and everything, but for him it was a big deal, and to me it was like, oh well, he doesn't love me. He's not really serious about me, when it was just that fear because of what had happened in the past.
Many men are very insecure because the thought of being with a woman, only one woman, for the rest of their life, some of them, right? It's like, oh my God, because people, they say so many things that are not true about marriage. It's going to get boring.
These myths, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to get boring. I mean,
some people say, oh, when you get married, you're going to the gallows, right? It's the end of your life. When actually it's not true. I mean, because we also have to put the blame a little bit on what people hear in songs and see in movies, because the reality of marriage is not that you're being tied to one person and you have to be there. You chose to be there, and actually that makes you happy. That doesn't make you unhappy. It's something that when you are sure of what you want to do and you've dealt with the issues you have of your past, then you look forward to it. You're not scared of it.
Do you know there were some studies done about the difference between being married to someone and living together? I can't remember all of them, but a couple of the things that was quite interesting. They said that people that were married were actually happier than those living together. They felt more content. And interestingly enough, they said the sex was much better married than when they were living together. And this is actually based on studies. And I think that's because, I don't know, maybe for women, I think when a woman is actually married to someone and she has that commitment from her partner, and she'll just let go and enjoy the moment rather than, because if you think about it, if you're just with someone and you're sleeping with them or you're living with them, you've always got that thing in the back of your mind, what if this guy leaves me, or what if this woman leaves me? What if when he or she leaves me, they start talking about me and saying about all the things that I used to do with him or her? So I think there's always that thing in the back of your mind that this person at any time could just up and leave. Of course, even in a marriage, I suppose a person can leave as well, but it's less likely to. So there were actually studies based on this.
And you can't forget, Chris, that for a woman, security is very important, right? Very, very important. For a man, the guy is always more out for an adventure and living here for a while, then going and living in another country and then somewhere else. But the woman, for her home, her family, her children, within that space is very important. So of course, if the woman has that, if she has that security, that commitment from the guy, then I have no doubt of what you said, based on studies, that the sex is better, the relationship is better, because she has that security. For a guy,
she's able to let go completely. And
so she can be herself, and she can enjoy what she has there.
And because she's happy, she's not going to make his life hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's put it very plainly.
It's true, because an insecure person is very difficult. Whether it's a man or woman, it's very, 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 very difficult to deal with. I was that kind of person. I was hell.
For example,
for my boyfriend.
Many people complain, oh, but my wife is very problematic. She's very loud. She doesn't look after herself. She doesn't, like my friends. She's all the horrible things. Because maybe she feels insecure. Maybe the guy flirts with every woman that walks by. He's out with his friends drinking until late every night and doesn't care. So can you see another cycle?
Or maybe she's like that because she has issues from her past that she hasn't dealt with.
Exactly. But it's not just, marriage is like this. No.
Helena, now you're going to tell us your story after the break of why you vowed never to get married. But you broke that promise, young lady.
I did.
Because you have your husband sitting next to you of how many years again?
I couldn't resist this temptation. This is for the lady who
that's so sweet. All right, so do join us after the break and you're going to hear why Helena vowed never to get married and also why she actually broke that promise. And if you want to get in touch at any point, you can email chris@chrissybshow.tv. You can tweet as well for your opinion on why you think people find it hard to commit, not just in a relationship, but with anything. And you can also give us a call if you want, 020 7686 6300. Join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, now before we get to Helena's story, let's just go through a few typical things that someone who's afraid of committing does. Now, first of all, they'll end good relationships for the smallest of reasons. So if you see, for example, well, I suppose you know if you're afraid of committing, but if you see you're going out with someone and things seem to be going really well, and then all of a sudden this person will just break it off, that's obviously that's a very obvious sign of someone with a commitment problem. And if it's someone that you know, a loved one, then be sure that there is obviously a commitment problem there. Also, even though they seem perfectly happy in their relationship, as soon as commitment was mentioned, they withdrew emotionally and started finding faults. So because, like I said with my then boyfriend, now husband, because I got him in the end, he was afraid of the marriage word. He would commit up to a certain point, but then after that he didn't want to commit. So people like this, they sometimes, when the other person, the other party wants to take it a step further, say, okay, now we've been going out for however long, now I want to get married, all of a sudden that person's going to start finding fault in them. They're going to say, oh, you know, you nag too much, or, you know, I don't like the way you do this, I don't like the way you do that. So they're going to find any small thing just to cause an argument to get away from the relationship.
And let's not forget, Chris, that all these signs that you're reading and you will read, they are superficial signs to what is really hidden underneath, right? Because, you know, the first one you read, that they'll find any reason to end a relationship, any small reason. I mean, there has to be something more to that, right? If someone says, oh, you know, your voice annoys me, how come my voice didn't annoy you before?
Yeah, and all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's right, it's true. Another one maybe that isn't so obvious, and this can be applied to not just relationships but anything. They hate to be tied down even to small things. They have a habit of saying yes to arrangements but start to look for excuses not to do them almost immediately. So this is something that can span across all sorts of areas of a person's life, whether it's career, a job, maybe even like, some people even have a problem to commit to going out somewhere, and that is a really serious issue. It's like they're afraid to do anything. So as long as it's a commitment, that's it. I don't want to be tied down. I think sometimes maybe it's even fear of disappointing someone, perhaps. What do you think?
It could be, well, fear of commitment. I see it like any other fear. You fear something because you don't know that thing, if that makes sense. For example, I'm afraid of the dark, or I'm afraid of a small insect or something. They are more afraid of me than I am of them. I mean, if you knew exactly what marriage is about, then I believe you know, the person wouldn't be afraid anymore.
Yeah, but it's a very good point what Helena just said, and it goes back to what we said earlier, that sometimes people have misconceptions of what a commitment is. Instead of, you know, actually, let me tell you, Chris, commitment and marriage, committed relationship is the best thing that you can ever have. It's the best investment, the best thing you will ever have. But there's a very negative connotation to the word commitment that people carry around, and that sometimes,
as I said on the interview,
and that makes them miss out on something amazing, which is a committed relationship.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really understand it myself, because I've never had commitment issues for anything, whether it's to get married or whether it's to, you know, to commit to a job that I'm doing or anything like that. And actually, in a relationship, I think I can see how it's just lovely. I think it's lovely to be with one person and get to know them, because I mean, who really, if you think about it, who really wants to be with loads of different people and you don't connect with that person? It just becomes so, I can't even think of a word.
Frivolous, maybe.
Yeah, carnal, like very meaningless. It's like, but when you're with a person that you really love and you're getting to know them, it's something so special that people miss out on all the time because they're just afraid of going that one step further.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to interrupt.
I normally do that. I forget what I'm talking about.
No, but you know, I remembered.
Yeah, okay.
You know, that fear of commitment. People, the media is very responsible for the image of, you know, marriage nowadays, celebrities, music, like you said earlier. But then again, you make of your marriage, you can have any marriage you want to have. If you want, first of all, you need to find the right person, okay? And then after, when you get married, you need to, you know, you have fun in your relationship. You are best friends, you get along really well, you do whatever you want to do in your marriage. You don't have to be that boring couple that sits in a couch every night, like watching TV, you know, they don't even brush their teeth anymore. You know, this kind of people that you see on TV, like in movies, or drinking beer until you... No, you can have a lot of fun, go out, learn things together, isn't it? So you can have the marriage you want to have.
I had something really good to say on that, and I forgot now what I was going to say. Oh, it was a really good point. I was so annoyed. I hate it when that happens. I can't remember. It was based on something you said.
Oh, well.
I'm going to go to the next point, and then if it comes, I'll talk about it. Okay. Something that maybe not so obvious, a sign of someone that's afraid to commit. Ah, that's it. A good fear of commitment, I think, is I think the only case that this kind of fear is good. If a person's afraid of committing because they know the person's the wrong person, because you said something there about, you know, if it's the right person, but if you're afraid of committing to someone, that could be a good sign, because that's going to save you from getting into trouble. Because if it's the wrong person, you know, it's every right to feel afraid.
That's actually a red light. That's a warning sign that you should listen. It's like a traffic light, right? If the red sign is there for a reason, the red light's there for a reason, you cannot go through, otherwise you're going to get hurt. Relationships are like this. If the person is not the right person, and you're getting this red sign, maybe it's not a matter that you're afraid to commit, it's a matter that maybe you can see this person is not for you, and it's better for you to move on.
But a sign that you have a commitment issue is that you wait 5, 6 years, sometimes 7 or 10, to say, oh, he's not the right person for me. So, you know.
Shouldn't take that long.
Yeah, I think that's a whole other topic, isn't it? Yeah. Let's read the next one. They are unreliable timekeepers, so are often late, but get defensive if they are challenged. Not really a relation. Am I sensing a bit of like...
My husband is looking at me like... But it's nothing to do with commitment issues, okay?
All right, okay.
Something else.
This one, you probably, like, this one's a bit obvious as well. They have short, intense and passionate relationships that go cold overnight. And they often fall in love with people who are unattainable. So it's like they will deliberately, even though maybe subconsciously, go for someone that they know it's not going to go anywhere. Perhaps if the other person's married, or they're committed supposedly to someone else, or they're just, you can see they're just not commitment material themselves, but they'll still go for that person because they know it's not going to last, and they don't have to really commit to that person.
And you know, a perfect example of what you just said, they're relationships that are very, you know, passionate, but then end quickly, is the typical example of the woman who goes for the bad boy, right? She knows that that relationship is not really going to work because he's a bad boy for a reason. He's not a good boy. He's a bad boy because of whatever reason. But she thinks, well, it's exciting, it's a rush, or this guy looks good. And although she knows that's not really going to work, she still goes ahead and enters the relationship. And I mean, that's an example. She knows that there's not going to be a commitment there, but she still goes ahead because it makes her feel excited, or it's an exciting thing to happen to her. But the same thing happens to men as well. Sometimes there's that woman that he knows there's no future there, but he wants to have that woman to be able to say that he had her. And there will not be any commitment there, but he got engaged into that relationship for a while, then it ended, and it led nowhere. Maybe it caused pain to him or to her, vice versa.
Okay. Let's take a look at a couple of, if I can find them, a couple of Facebook comments. This one is quite obvious, but I mean, that's also something that we didn't talk about. Kay Tembo says, people are afraid to commit because they simply don't know how to. How true do you think that is?
I believe it comes from home, if that makes sense. From what they saw at home when they, you know, while growing up. from what they saw with their grandparents or uncles.
It's like affection, isn't it? For example, if you grow up in a home where there was no affection, there was no hugging, there was no like, oh, I love you or anything like that, you don't know, doesn't come naturally to you to do, because that's what you've learned at home. So I suppose if you don't see commitment, like you're saying, at home or around you don't know how to commit. But it's something. But the good thing is, it's something that you can learn. It's something. Don't think because you're known as this kind of fickle person that doesn't commit to anything, it doesn't mean that you can't change. You can learn to. But
also,
different.
Chris, you know, I understand what she's saying, but there's very basic things to commitment that even if you don't know how to, you know, even you can start learning. And I believe everyone can commit if you like that person. So basic things to commitment: be faithful to that one person. Don't have anybody else. Care for the person. So invest in knowing what the person likes, how she is, and invest, instead of you getting to know loads of different people, you invest everything in one person. And it's like the
some
old...
people might say that's dangerous thing to do, because then you're putting all your eggs into one basket, and then...
But let's go back to that saying that everybody... Actually, someone said this the other day. You know the saying that goes, "Jack of all trades, master of none," right? And when you get married... Is
this a war of the sayings now?
No, but think about it, right? When you enter a relationship, you have to be a master at knowing that person. Even if you don't know anything about anybody else, but that one, you know that person like nobody else knows her. And that's what commitment is.
Yeah. But I would even say that before the person does that, she needs to understand what is a relationship all about. If you don't know what commitment is, you need to understand first, okay, what is a relationship made of? Okay, it's made of trust, one person plus one person, okay, two only, not 3 or 4 or 5. You know, the person, what does the person expect from me? She expects faithfulness. So you need to understand what a relationship is before you actually try to understand what commitment is, if that makes sense.
Yes, and you did understand what commitment was, because we're going to talk about that now. We're going to talk about it after the break, because I need to go to the next break now. Okay. And Helena's going to tell us her story after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back. Now, before we go to Helena's story, let's just show you this video, because sometimes I think people have to commit to having a good time sometimes as well, not just working too hard. So make sure you make a commitment with yourself to have some fun every now and then. Let's take a look at this.
Here we are outside a cafe in Camden Lock, about to go down and get on the Jenny Ring, which is a boat trip, canal boat trip that goes along to Little Venice. And this is the cafe, and this is the entrance to the pickup point, so let's go in. Okay, all right, let's go. It's right before my eyes and I can take it. I imagine this has been here for many years. It really looks like hard work. To do, I am leaving, and this is starting to feel like it's right before my eyes and I can taste it. It's my sweet beginning. I can tell just what you want. And here we've got a bird that's very kindly going around actually picking up all the rubbish. Very peaceful and calming on a sunny day like this. So here we are arriving back at the dock, the pickup point, back in Camden Lock. That was fun. Now we're going to go and check out the market. Why should people come and visit tourists? Why should they come to Camden rather than another part of London? What's good about Camden?
Because nice people, good energy.
Camden experience. Lovely day out in Camden this afternoon. We've been on the canal boat, then we went to the food market, then we checked out some of the other stalls, clothes stalls and shops. There's so much to do here. As you can see, I'm outside another area of clothes stalls and different gadget stalls and stuff. It's a really fun day out, especially when it's beautiful weather, just like we've had today. It's been a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, Barbara. So let's just get to one more Facebook comment. This one's from Sandra. She says the reason why she thinks people are afraid of commitment is because of fear or something that left a scar in their previous relationship. So Helena, what was the problem with you? Why did you vow one day never to get married?
I didn't like the idea of having anyone bossing me. That was my
bossing you around.
thought.
Why though?
Because
that must have stemmed from somewhere.
Yes, from you know, when I grew up, growing up, and my family, you know, everything that was going on, the environment, fights, lots of negative things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, you know what, this is not for me. When I grow up, I'm going to have my life. I'm going to have my businesses. I had many, you know, ideas of things I wanted to do, but never marriage. No.
Now, I think remember you telling me once about school as well. You had some trouble with boys at school.
Oh my God!
What happened there?
you know when they get all silly. You know, this age, you know, 12, 13. What age?
I don't know.
No, you don't know?
You had the trouble with boys, not me. I had no problems with boys.
No, but tell me about, you know, that age where boys
the teenage.
like to run around.
14, 15.
Yeah. Run after the girls, and you know they run past by you, and they touch your places. Oh my God, that would get me really
So you really hated
angry.
Boys?
My friend, it was a mixture of feelings. I don't even know how to explain.
So how did James here sweep you off your feet then?
Because
was he was your first proper boyfriend?
Yes, he was my first ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because, you know, of course.
How could you get married to your first boyfriend? What if there's, you know?
Because I
Which is what people say, right? How can you get married? How can you just get married to your first boyfriend? That's like unheard of.
Because she couldn't resist my charm. So.
Exactly.
But how were you sure that he's the one?
Because I came from all that background, you know, big mess. Growing up with the family and everything, marriage wasn't good at home, you know, mom and dad. So I thought to myself, you know, I'm not gonna let anyone, you know, own me or something. So of course I had a lot of traumas, a lot of phobias and things. So eventually I got a lot of help for that. I had to go to, I attended seminars, self-help. You know, how do you call seminars and things like that to help me, you know, overcome, because this was also affecting other areas of my life.
And also we took time, that time that we dated, that 1 year we dated, we took time to get to know each other. So that was the most important thing.
Could you see that she had commitment issues, or do you think she was
she was very difficult to get through in the beginning. It was a mixture of being
like guarded.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
So but then we, you know, for that period of time we dated, we really got to know each other really well. I found out where she was coming from and vice versa. So although there were, you know, there was this adjustment that had to happen still, we didn't have any doubts of what we wanted to do.
Did you have to be quite patient with her, would you say?
Yes, but she was patient with me as well, so it's a two-way street, you know. I wasn't perfect either.
So I know there's no regrets at all.
So when I was ready, I met him. And then I saw that I was ready, and I liked him.
Oh, now. All right, so maybe, okay, so since you are, you know, obviously you're a lovely couple, and now you're giving other people advice, whether singles or couples. I have a question here from a viewer. They're actually asking my opinion, but I'll let you guys, you know, come in on it as well. Okay, this is, I don't think the person put their name, just a second, let me find it. This is a what would Chrissy do? I have lost it. Can you talk till I find it, please? No, sorry, I found it. I'll put you on the spot. Okay. This is what this person says. My partner comes from Bangladesh and has been hiding me from his family for a while. But now we are getting married. His family said they will never accept me. What would you do, Chrissy? She's asking. So I assume now, obviously, the family know about you, and now they're saying that they will never, ever accept you. So it's quite a hard situation. But the thing is, I think at the end of the day, when you get married, it's going to be you and your husband. But first of all, the first step is what you've both spoken about as well. Is this person really right for you? Is this the right person? You know, it's a completely different background. Is it a different religion? Are you okay with, you know, being with someone that's, what's your faith? What's your plans for the future? You need to make sure that all that's compatible.
And families oppose relationships for two reasons. One, either because that person is not good for you and they can see it, because usually families have your best interests at heart.
Although in her case, they didn't actually know about her until they're getting married.
Yeah, so it's either because that person may be a bad influence for you, so they want to protect you, or sometimes it's because of, like you said, culture and, you know, whatever the reason may be. Now you have to assess if your family want to protect you from someone that maybe they are a bad influence because they have some habits which can be really harmful for you. Then you need to perhaps listen to their advice. If not, if it's a prejudice, because that happens as well, prejudice to do with, you know, culture. And I know that you went through that as well,
I did,
right?
Yeah.
Then, you know, you need to make a decision. Look, I love this person. I believe this is going to work. They're the right person. I'm not going to take prejudice or anything like that on board.
Yeah, I mean, if you do decide, like, you know, things are going to be hard. If he's, for example, very close to his family and it's going to be a problem, I think you need to really consider if this relationship is right for you. But if, okay, you know, he's committed to you, you're committed to him, you make sure that you've got the same goals, you're on the same wavelength and everything, then it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. For example, I've spoken about this before. My parents didn't accept, well, not my parents, my dad didn't accept my husband. He only met him after 15 years that we were together. But it was hard for me, and it is going to be hard if you're going to go ahead with this. It's going to be very hard on your fiancé, on your husband in the future, because when family cut you off, it's very difficult to deal with if you're very, very close to them. So I would say I would really consider whether this relationship is completely right for you first before you even consider it, because the road ahead is going to be tough. And it's not to say that things can't change, because things do change. It changed for me. It can change for you as well. It's not to say that they're not accepting you now, they won't accept you in the future. They could do.
That should actually be her main concern. Is he the right person for me?
Yeah.
Everything else can be worked on afterwards.
Yeah. The question is, are you strong enough to handle what's to come? If you're not, I wouldn't even go there, honestly. But if you are, if you say, I love him, you know, I'm sure he's the right one for me, then if you're strong enough, I would go ahead, and I did go ahead, and I haven't regretted it. So thank you very much, Love Talk team.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been great having you on again, and we're going to see you very soon, hopefully, for another topic to talk about and to help our viewers.
Absolutely.
And after the break, we're going to be joined by Chris Browne for the Self-Development Clinic to talk more about commitment. Join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back, and now we're in our lovely self-development clinic with Chris Browne. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Chrissy. How's it going?
Very well. How are you?
I'm really good.
Have you ever had any commitment issues?
Have I had any commitment issues? Well, it's funny because I could relate to something that Helena said earlier on, and it's because of the background. At first, you think, well, do you really want to go into this? Are you sure about it?
Yeah.
But you know, as I said, working on yourself, working on a better side of yourself, working out why you fear going into a relationship or whatever. Yeah.
You've been a bit cagey.
I'm
not going to probe you anymore because we haven't got time, but I'm sure there's more under there that, you know, he's got a little story there he doesn't want to tell us
I've got a story. If we got more time, I'll tell you the story.
All right, we'll have to bring you on as another guest one day and talk about your story.
Yeah?
I'll tell you because I'm sure people want to get to know you better too. All right, so tell us what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, today we're actually talking about commitment to your personal success.
Right.
Right, now, when I said personal success, it doesn't mean automatically when people think success, you think of the car, the house. I'm not talking about that sort of personal success. Personal success is about that individual, the person who gained confidence, the person who achieved their certificate, their goals, different areas like that at the end of the day. Now, it's funny because I was looking at this quote, and this quote which I've got here, it says, where there is no hope in the future, there's no power in today. Right, now, most times why there's no power today is because chances are you haven't actually made a commitment to anything particularly. So there's no strength behind it at the end of the day. So you can't really vision your future where you're going a bit meandering here and there because you never really ever made a commitment to something. Now, I've got here 6 points. And I'm going to start off with the first one, which is you cannot commit to all.
You cannot commit to all.
That's right. You cannot commit to all. I mean, think about it, Chrissy. How many times, well, I could think about it as well. You've gone into a shop and you've got one of their loyalty cards, right?
I never got one and I never will. Because
You've never got one?
Never.
Oh, all right. What about points cards? There's other points cards.
Oh, yeah, I got my Tesco and my...
Right, okay.
And,
and you get to the till and they turn around and they say, have you got your points card? And you look around, you pull out the wrong one, right? Because you've got one that's belonged to another shop or something like that, right? Okay, and that's just lightly, but we're talking about committing to many things. Let's put it this way, you can't actually, let's say, join 10 gyms, have membership 10 gyms. You can't be married to 10 people. I mean, all right, some cultures do, right? But you can't be married to 10 people because you're not going to commit to all of them, are you? Yeah. You're going to give a bit here, a bit there, a bit there. So we can't commit to all. So let's take that back to our own personal life. How much do you actually invest in anything? Do you just give a bit of it there, a bit of it there, a bit of it there? It's going to amount to nothing at the end of the day, right? So that one point is we can't commit to all. You've got to have a vision about where you're going and what you're doing, right? That's right. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to 2, which is a kind of funny one. It says career, but good at this, good at that. Now, sometimes we discover that we're quite good at this or we're quite good at that and we're quite good at the other. But at the end of the day, the reason why we're good at all these is because we never really invested in any one of them. So if we took time out to actually invest in that area that you're actually good in and made a commitment towards it, chances would come off a lot better. Now, if you're saying, well, look, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, but I didn't want to invest in a course because it will take about 3 years or 2 years to do. Yeah. Think about it. In fact, think about it. 2 or 3 years is going to pass anyway. And you'd look back and think, oh, I should have done that course. Oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. And time just keeps moving on. So you've got to pull back, invest in something particularly, and persevere through.
Some people think they don't have a talent as well because I was that kind of person. I was kind of quite good at lots of different kind of things, but never sort of really excellent in one thing. You know how people have this talent and they just know that they're really excellent at something. I never had that. But it is, I guess it is, like you said, what you invest in. Like if I pick one of those things, well, I suppose I have with TV presenting now, you know, pick one of those things and practice at it and work at it, then you do get,
you get better at it. You get
committed to it and you do get much better at it.
What you're doing, you're actually investing in you.
Yeah.
You've worked out the one, well, I'm good at this, and invest in you. I mean, I love development, right? Eat it, sleep it, drink it. Sometimes I'm driving a car and there's something playing that's to do with that. It's just that way. It's not like a chore or anything. It's something you love, right? So it's investing in what you do, in what you love at the end of the day. So invest in yourself. That's the one, right? Okay, so let's take it further. Number 3, you can't be half committed, right? Think about this. I realized earlier on you was talking about relationships and we talk about marriage as well. Now, 2 people who are half committed are already half committed in this relationship, this marriage, thinking about, well, what if the other one? Oh, I can get out of this if this happens, that happens. They're half committed, right? So
that's not going to last long, is it?
That's not, exactly, that's what I was going to say. Right? We're committed to fail. Committed to failure. So it's a negative commitment in the sense of, you just asked me about commitment as well. Fear. Fear is the opposite as well at the same time. So we don't make the commitment that we should do and we just put half into a relationship. You know, there's half relationships where somebody's always looking out for somebody. If they say something wrong or they did something not right or they did this, there's a reason why I can jump out of this, right? They're not really committed, right? So you have to really think about this relationship you're going into and think, well, look, everybody's got their faults. Everybody's got his ways. We can discuss this. We can work out. We're committed. And that's the way it's going to go, right? So number 3 there. Now, number 4, the time is now, right? The time is now.
I love that sentence.
Yeah, the time is now, right? Because think about it. It's funny because time is now. Like I said before, you get a clock, a watch, best precision watch ever made is one that says now, right? You can't do anything else about it. Make a commitment now, right? That's what I say. If somebody's actually watching this right now, they think, well, what can I do? What should I do? What should I do? Get a piece of paper right now. Get a pen, get your pad. Start thinking about what you're good at. Make a commitment. Just say, look, I'm going to commit myself to doing this
Yeah.
Write it down. Sign it to yourself. You know, you value yourself, invest in yourself, commit now. That's the one to do. Right now, the thing about that is, well, back to the top one really, is what am I going to commit to? You know, what am I going to commit to? What do I need to do? Maybe you need to ask other people about you as well, what you're good at. Find out what you're good at, think, well, I could develop this. 2-3 years from now, you'll be riding at the top of it. It might even be 2-3 years. Fast learners learn quick at the end of the day. We all learn in different ways. Yeah? So commit now. Now, number 5, how do I commit? Right? I would say this, have an end goal in your mind already. Right? Have an end goal. So give an example or anything. Let's say you had this example that you wanted to achieve a certain certificate by the end. You've got to picture it. You've got to know exactly what you want. When you know what you want, you actually make that commitment to it because that's the end goal. So I'll commit 2-3 days a week. Let's talk about health as well. You know, I was just talking earlier on, I was talking to James and I was saying, well, I made sure that I ride the bike twice a week. Remember we was talking about as well? Right, so I've made a commitment.
You know why I'm laughing?
Go on, but I made a commitment to eating. Go on, tell him.
Because when we were in the green room, like I offered Chris like a cake thing, and he was like, no, I'm disciplined, I'm doing my exercise and stuff. And I said to him, but the calories of this little cake is like about worth 2 apples.
2 apples.
So he ate it. And then I felt quite bad because it's like I made you come off your healthy thing.
Well, I realised, well, that was the only 2 apples I had today, so I'll make sure I want 2 apples earlier on, okay? I got an excuse there.
I'm sorry, that was really bad because I didn't want to be eaten alone, you know? But no, you are very committed because you have lost a bit of weight. I'm sorry, you have.
I was saying it earlier, I was saying you came in and you said to me, oh, you've lost a bit of weight. I thought, well, I've done it then. So and then you said, here, have a cake. You know, thanks a lot. Right. Okay, so see the end vision in mind. Commit towards it. You've got an end vision, then you're going to have a direction of where you need to get to, right? Now, number 6 is you've got to have a purpose, right? Now, if you've got a purpose, you actually don't need, and I've mentioned this many times already, you don't need that alarm clock to get up in the morning because you're thinking, wow, I'm excited. I want to do this. I'm going to achieve it. And you want to get going faster and faster. So, you know, just think about it and think, look, your life has purpose. You've got a reason. So you commit towards that. It's going to get better. Even your character, the way you are, you're going to reflect and bounce off other people in a better way as well because you've got purpose. It's when you haven't got purpose, you've got too much time to think about the negatives and all the things that are not happening instead of thinking, well, look, I'm going to make this happen and that's what I'm going to do. Okay? So now there's a little quote that I had at the end here and it says, you don't have to be great to get started. Okay, you don't have to be great to get started, but think about this. You've got to get started to be great. So, to round it up, I like to say, make that commitment. Go in there, make that commitment. Go away, take on those points, and I hope you were writing them down, by the way, right? Or you could always watch it on YouTube after, right, and go back to it. Take those points on, write them down, work at it. Work on yourself first of all. And
at the end of the day, commitment is also, it's all about sacrifice, isn't it? And like, if you don't sacrifice in anything, your relationship, your career, your family commitments, anything, you're not going to get anywhere. Things aren't going to go right. So the secret to anything being successful is the sacrifice, and commitment comes under that.
That's it. And sacrifice is not easy. It's very hard, but are you willing to actually go there?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's right. Okay, well, we have finished for today, Chris. Thank you so much. You'll be joining us again next Monday. And that's it from the show for today. But do join us again on Wednesday. We're going to be speaking about Body Beautiful, so join us then.
We're laughing at someone else's demise. That's disgraceful.
I got it all on tape. I got it all on tape. That was so cute.
That is TV gold. Fab.
Hi everyone. Today, so we're about an hour and 15 minutes away from London at the beach, and this is one of the most favourite shut up